So you think that tax rates in the future are likely to be higher than they are today, and you're contemplating a Roth conversion. The question becomes, how much of your IRA should you convert, in what amounts, and over what time frame? The answers to these questions depend in large part on what you think tax rates are likely to do over the course of the next 10 years and beyond. If you had a guarantee that tax rates were going to remain level into perpetuity, then this discussion becomes much less urgent. You could just convert to the top of your existing tax bracket, whatever it happens to be, and follow that course basically forever. However, level tax rates are almost certainly not what we're likely to see over the next 10 to 20 years. In fact, a whole battery of experts are now predicting that tax rates will have to rise dramatically to help service the national debt and shore up huge shortfalls in Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. How big are those shortfalls? Over $200 trillion. So we aren't talking about little tiny tweaks to tax rates on the margin. We're talking about a potential doubling of tax rates over time. In fact, former Comptroller General of the federal government, David Walker, wrote a best-selling book called Comeback America, in which he predicted that effective tax rates for all taxpayers need to double by 2030. Every year beyond 2030 that they postpone raising taxes will make the eventual tax hike all the more aggressive and austere. Keep in mind that according to a study out of Penn Wharton, there will come a point in time beyond which the federal government can no longer procrastinate raising taxes, and that's the year 2043. At that point, the debt to GDP in our country will have reached 175%, and no amount of raising taxes or cutting spending will arrest the financial collapse of our country. So if, like most Americans, you have the lion's share of your retirement savings in tax-deferred accounts, like IRAs and 401ks, what should your Roth conversion roadmap look like in the next 10 years and beyond? Well, given where tax rates are likely headed in the future, you should almost certainly be taking advantage of the next 2 years before tax rates revert back to where they were in 2017. But that doesn't mean that in a fit of overexuberance, you should convert all of your money before then and pay stratospherically high tax rates in the process. Let me illustrate with an example. Let's say you have $100,000 of taxable income putting you squarely in the 22% tax bracket. It would likely make sense for you to convert to the top of the 22% tax bracket. But remember, the 24% tax bracket only costs you 2% more and would allow you to realize income all the way up to $383,900. That means you could convert $283,900 per year for each of the next 2 years without bumping into the 32% bracket. 10 years from now, we'll look back on the 24% tax bracket and see it as a good deal of historic proportions. What you should almost certainly not do between now and 2026 is bump up into the 32% tax bracket or higher in an attempt to get all the heavy lifting done before the quote-unquote tax deadline. Stretch your Roth IRA conversion past 2026 if necessary. Remember, the post-2026 version of the 22% tax bracket is 25, and the post-2026 version of the 24% bracket is 28. That's still lower than the current 32% tax bracket, so no need to get overzealous with your Roth conversion strategy between now and then. But the real question becomes, how long will those 25 and 28% brackets last? Well, it's hard to say. I do believe there comes a point in time beyond which the federal government can no longer procrastinate raising taxes, and I believe that's on or around the year 2030. So in a best case scenario, you would want to get all your Roth converting done by the end of the 2030 tax year. That would give you 7 years within which to execute your Roth conversion. That gives you 7 years over which to stretch your tax obligations so you can keep your tax rate as low as possible. But what if shifting to the top of the 24% tax bracket in the next 2 years and the 28% tax bracket in the 5 years after that isn't enough to convert everything you want to convert? What if your IRA or 401k is so big that even by following this course, you still have a substantial amount of money in your tax-deferred accounts? If that's the case, I would suggest you adopt a wait-and-see approach. I'm not quite confident enough in a dramatic increase in tax rates in 2031 to suggest that you bump up into the 32% bracket or higher in the next 2 years, or the 33% bracket or higher in the next 5 years after that. Remember, the point of no return for the federal government happens in 2043. Also keep in mind that the Medicare Trust Fund goes bust in 2031 and the Social Security Trust Fund goes bust in 2034. And we'll have to cut benefits across the board by 22%. So as we approach these 2 dates, you want to take stock of the fiscal condition of our country and adjust your Roth conversion strategy accordingly. Remember, it is a possibility that the federal government keeps tax rates level in 2031, 2032, and beyond. So I'd take a wait-and-see attitude as opposed to maxing out much higher tax brackets between now and then. Folks, in the next 10 years, I'm looking to put 100,000 Americans on the road to the 0% tax bracket. If you would like some help implementing a balanced, comprehensive approach to tax-free retirement that shields you from the impact of higher taxes down the road, head on over to davidmcknight.com and click on the Connect with an Advisor button. I'm happy to refer you to an advisor in the Powers Zero network that has been trained, vetted, and qualified personally by me. If you're a financial professional and want to learn how to become a certified Powers Zero advisor, head on over to powerzero.com and opt into my free video series. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to drop them into the comment section below. I'll respond to every single one of them personally. And don't forget to click like, subscribe, and the bell so you never miss a video. This is David McKnight. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.